All right, so while we are working, you are welcome to put some questions in the Q&A box if you want to participate, if you want to just ask something or double check something. So please participate, enjoy the session. Don't just sit there because I doubt any one of you have to, but enjoy the session and ask questions. Other people may be thinking the same thing. So just relax and enjoy it. Okay, so you can see I developed this in 2021. I haven't even changed the date. So I must say that since I wrote this, a few things have changed. So we will also talk about that. Okay, so I am Cecilia Denton. I'm an industrial psychologist. I'm the owner of PTES Consulting. We are psychometric assessment specialists and we provide HR support together with the HR Talk. So I just want to say thank you, like always, to the HR Talk for arranging these sessions. They send out the invites, they put everything together. So it's always great to work with them. All right, and today we're going to talk about body language and non-verbal communication. All right, so this is what we will cover. We will look at body language and that it's culturally bound. But firstly, we're going to look at a few famous incidents or people that we're going to discuss and talk about that, just to discuss their behavior. So why is body language important? We're going to look a little bit at emotional intelligence. It is an unconscious behavior. We're going to, what is going on? Oh, there we go. My screen changed. I hope you can still see my screen. Let me know if what I'm seeing is not what you're seeing. So, all right. It is a universal language. We will look at facial expressions. We will look at it's a universal language, what you can do, what you should not do, how to know when someone is lying in an interview. Although that's quite difficult to determine, I can give you a few pointers. And then we'll do a quiz. We're going to test how good you are. So there's a lot we're going to do. So I'm going to talk fairly fast because I want to do everything. Okay, so let's look at the introduction. So body language refers to the nonverbal signals that we use to communicate. So according to experts, these nonverbal signals makes out a huge part of daily communication. Okay, so you all know that. We know that it's a very important thing. It has been suggested that body language may account for between 60 to 65% of all communication. Some researchers even suggest between 80 and 90%. And I can see why that is true, because everything is about credibility. It's about, you know, how many times you've been underestimated. You know how many times people have maybe put a label on you. All of that is because people make assumptions. So we can control a little bit of it. Let's see if we can do our best. So when doing presentations, most presenters focus their preparation time on their words they will say, but research shows that body language accounts for as much as 55% of the message's total impact. So meanwhile, your tone of voice accounts for 38% of the impact and your actual words, 7%. Oh my gosh. So I hope that you're going to actually listen to me today and not just look at my facial expression or my flowers, but you can just take in whatever it is and try and remember the most crucial things. All right, so let's start. We're going to look at a few of these characters today. So you know all of them. In here are actually movies that you must try and see if you can find it on Netflix, especially the one here on the left-hand corner at the bottom. Very good movie. I can't remember its name. But anyway, let's go to our first example. All of you, or some of you may remember Michael Peterson, The Staircase Killer. So currently on Netflix, there's actually a documentary type story type movie about this. So I watched the actual documentary, but then there was a movie. I can't remember who was the actor that played the main role, but it is a very good representation and depiction of what actually happened. Now, I have changed my mind on this guy a few times. So the first time when I saw his face, I said, oh my God, he's a killer. Then I read a little bit more on him. And then I thought, oh, no, he's not. He's misunderstood. Then I swung back again to, oh, no, he's a killer. So this is a very interesting case, this one. So let me give you a little bit of background for those who do not know. So Michael Peterson is an American novelist who was convicted in 2003 of murdering his second wife, Kathleen Peterson, in 2001. So in December 2001, she was found dead at the bottom of the staircase by their home by Michael. He claimed that she had fallen accidentally and he discovered her too late. So I think a lot of you will remember that scenario. And then there was a thing about it wasn't that she was beaten. There was the whole theory about the owl that attacked her, because there were owl attacks in that area. So the owl will grab you on your head and whatever. So I've gone back and forth in this until I watched the last movie. So do yourself a favor and watch it, because then I thought, I don't know if the movie did the guy a favor. Yes, so someone is saying, yeah, isn't swinging between your opinions of Michael not a red flag in itself? Absolutely, because it tells you something. And also maybe unconsciously, we may want to look for an excuse or a reason or not, but that in itself, because I've swung now quite a few times already, and I thought that the last movie/documentary, I actually thought, oh, that didn't do him a favor at all. So do yourself a favor, watch it. But now the comments that I make here, let me just close the chat box. Here we go. So in the documentary, people were monitoring his behavior. So this is what these notes are all about. So there was a lot of contradictory evidence and witnesses. So a lot of emphasis was placed on body language of him now. So they say you tend to look away when you hear bad news or information. High pitching of the voice or mimicking shock could be an indication of lying. Now, in the one documentary, he did that a lot of the times, and it was very peculiar. But then again, you'll see my last note here. Some experts also say that, remember, there was a camera on him, so he may have been acting additionally. But it did look strange in the documentary. So point number 4 here, there was no denial by Michael, but fishing of facts. So when people were talking to him in this documentary, he was not denying, saying it's not me. He was trying to fish out, what is the police now? Where are they? How far are they? Sort of unsure of what the interviewer knows. Then, if there's a repeat of what the interviewer asks, for example, there is a written statement, he will repeat a statement. So I've seen people do that quite a lot. So it's trying to probably win some time, or maybe trying to think of what you can lie about. But watch the documentary with him in it together with the movie depiction of him and see what it is, what you think about it, because it was weird. But just going on his face like I did the first time is probably not credible, because when I saw his face in a picture, I said, oh, no, he killed his wife. That's also not right. So someone says, yeah, surely micro expressions and testing baseline would also be key here. Yes. So we will be talking about that baseline just now with another example. Absolutely, because the micro expression that's the difficult thing to pick up. But try to become aware of these things. This will go hand in hand with emotional intelligence. It will go hand in hand with developing an awareness of yourself and others. So all of these things grow together. So let's look at Chris Watts. You all know about this guy. Such an incredible, crazy story. So the Watts family murders occurred during the early morning of August 13, 2018, so quite recent. Initially, he lied extensively about the murder. So I actually watched I think there were YouTube videos or something about it. While being interviewed by the police, Christopher Watts admitted to murdering his pregnant wife, Shannon Watts, but you should see the video before he admits it. There's a very casual sort of talking with hands in his pockets. It looked weird. So he later admitted to killing their daughters, the 4-year-old Bella and the 3-year-old Celeste, by smothering them with a blanket over their heads. End of 2018, he pleaded guilty to multiple counts of first-degree murder as part of a plea deal. So he was sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole, 3 to be served consecutively. It was such a bizarre story because he's a nice, good-looking guy when you watch a few of the conversations with him, can you see here, he looks very confident and very attractive. When you speak to him, I see a strange, weird submissiveness to him. I find that very bizarre. Almost maybe he was treated in a way as a child, so he fell into a submissive type of role. So that's not my own theory, maybe became psychopathic, but he's got this weird submissive, I don't know. It's my own thinking, because literally if you watch the stuff about him, you'll see this strange submissiveness. Almost like he could also not say no to the wife, and then he just rather killed her. So there was a very strange thing. Okay, but let's look at what the body language expert said. So the body language expert, Cliff Lancey, indicated that Chris's facial expressions caught on camera when police arrived at his home betrayed his lies even before his arrest. I saw this one particular interview where he was standing in front of the garage. And this was actually, the photo that I've got here was actually part of that conversation. So, of course, the body language experts, they can see way more detail. But for me, that knows nothing. The way that he said, I just want them back, it was so strangely casual. I didn't see the stress. That would be the most that I would see as a layperson. But the body language experts actually, now they're referring to this baseline that we spoke about just now. So if you look at what's his face in more detail with a close-up, on the left-hand side, you'll see the baseline. This is what's his normal face during the non-emotional parts of the interview. But then on the right, he says, I just want them back. So I think what they mean, the left-hand side would be on as you see on the photo, literally your left. And then, but on the right, when he says, I just want them back, he's talking about his children here. The corners of his lip is slightly raised and the eyes tightened, but almost sort of in a friendly way. Can you see it's quite weird? Not in a distressful way. So his cheeks are raised. This combination of the two muscles is an indicator of genuine pleasure. So for me, I don't know if I see pleasure. I see like a sort of instead of distress, I see like a sort of can I use the word kindness or friendly or sort of relaxed? I don't know what it is that you see, but it's almost kind of soft. I don't know, but they see dark pleasure. Okay, but they would know more than us, obviously, with these type of facial expressions. So he goes on, the swaying shows anxiety. Okay, so in the interview that you don't see on the screen here, you'll see, I did post the link there for you so that you can go see the interview. He was swaying a little bit like this. When someone talks to you and you sort of put your hands in your pockets and you're casually talking, you're at a bride. That's the way that he was talking. So they actually say that is anxiety. He's making an affirmative claim that she was still here when I was here at 5:15, but his hands are doing a partial gesture. So he did go like sort of, she was still here when I was here. So it's leakage. You can see it on the bottom of the screen. So that small movements of the hand, the rotation, is what we call a double-handed shrug, which is a part of the full gesture. I have no confidence in what I've said. So it's interesting that they are saying, yeah, I've got no confidence in what I've just said. And I told you before, when I was looking at him in general, there was sort of a strange submissiveness about him. So maybe that is what they are referring to. But do yourself a favor, go and look at the YouTube video that I posted on here. Let me see your comments and what it is that you are thinking about this. So yes, there's only the one picture on the screen and it's this one. The link is at the bottom here. So when I send you this presentation, you can actually click on the link. So another person said here, I see a smirk. That's the corner lifting on the side of the mouth. Yes, it's like it's just not fitting for my wife and my children are gone. So that's very bizarre. So the link for the YouTube video is on this presentation. There's the interview. Please have a look at that. let's go to the other favorite. I must tell you now, this is not my favorite anymore. I was quite interested in Harry and Meghan, and now it's sort of blown over. I'm bored with it. I don't think anyone is interested anymore. Okay, but let's look at Harry and Meghan's interview with Oprah Winfrey. So psychologist Stanton, decoding Meghan's body language while she conversed about these issues, told Express, this is a newspaper, obviously in the UK, that the Duchess of Sussex denoted positive gestures, and this can be established with her hand positioning over Harry's throughout the interview. Sorry, this is my non-verbal language showing that I really love coffee. So I hope you're having yours as well. So this is also indicated, the hand, obviously, also indicated that she noticed that her husband was in need of reassurance when she made that gesture. So that's why she's putting like a hand on his leg and sort of in a reassuring manner. I don't know who of you watched the interview. I didn't really watch. I watched parts of it. Harry's body language indicated a lot about the couple's chemistry. She said, adding that he's clearly besotted with her. I think you can pick that up in a lot of the videos and a lot of the things online. He continued that Harry appears head over heels and Meghan gives gestures indicating that she's with him. So she's giving him that reassurance. Okay, so let's see what they said about the claims. I just want to see, there was another comment here. Yes, you can get the slides for the presentation. I actually put these YouTube links here so that it's actually easy reference for you. Okay, so let's see the topics that were raised in the interview that were so controversial. So these experts discuss whether the claim about Archie's skin color actually happened. So one expert indicates that it's a lie, while others suggested that it's the truth. I think something came out later saying that there was a comment made, but it was more a general indication of, literally what would the baby look like. I don't know if it was meant to be derogatory. We will probably never know, but I don't know if it was just a topic taken and ran with. I don't know, but there are people that saying it was the truth, and there is an expert that said it was a lie. Then she indicates that she did not look up her husband online. A person telling the truth will usually say, I didn't. So you will say, remember, what was that, President Clinton, when he denied having an affair with whatever her name is now. She's not important anymore. I can't even remember her name anymore. And he said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. And they say that the fact that, when you say I didn't do it, you will say just I didn't do it. You will not spell it out. I did not do it. It's obviously not always an indication. I've said, I've spelled it out like that before and really meant it, but usually I think people will say I didn't do it, or I didn't look up my husband online. And she apparently said, I did not look up my husband online. All right. And then the last point there, when she finishes a sentence, she says, right, regularly. I remember that in the interview, she would speak and then say, blah, 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 right. Blah, 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 right. So that means just the person is trying to build rapport with you, assuming, accepting what she is saying is the truth. So watch the video and make up your own minds about what was said. What do you think the intentions were? It is interesting how maybe it's just in my world that it's all calmed down now, but now it's like no one cares now. So let me just see the comments in here. Monica Lewinsky, yes, that was if this was a quiz, you would have won now. So that was right. So Clinton did say, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. So because he spelled it out like that, usually that's an indication of that it's not the truth. But of course, remember, not always. So let's go to the next one. So it's culturally bound. The only nonverbal behaviors that are universally throughout the world are facial expressions. So that's quite interesting. Our face really, it's synonymous everywhere. So the expressions of anger, happiness, sadness, disgust, surprise, and fear are basic to all humans. However, the rest of them are specific to certain cultures. So in some countries, eye contact is considered respectful. Parents tell their children to look at them when they speak because it's a sign that someone is paying attention to them and acknowledging them. I don't know about other cultures, but like the Afrikaans culture, maybe also the English culture, we do look in the eye quite often. I don't really know about other cultures. I think things have also been changing in South Africa. We're getting sort of a universal thing ourselves. But I think it is good to be aware of some people may want to be respectful. But for I know in my Afrikaans culture, if someone doesn't look you in the eye, we do think, what's going on here? Maybe someone is shy, or it's usually shy. My second thought would be that they're dishonest. I don't really, for me, the first thing is shy. Okay, and then, however, in some Middle Eastern and Asian cultures, eye contact is to be avoided because it might signal an inappropriate romantic interest. So this is also interesting. I know in the Middle East, it's really a little bit different. So you don't want to give an indication of a romantic interest if that's not your plan. So just be careful which country you go and visit, see what it is that people do when. Also, certain hand signals means different things in different cultures. So, for example, in America, even in South Africa, giving the thumbs up is a positive sign. In India, this is the same as giving the middle finger. So I really didn't know that. So just be aware that could get you into trouble. Okay, so research shows that we make crucial decisions about one another, subconsciously evaluating an array of nonverbal cues for the first 7 seconds. So, and once someone labels you as likable or unlikable, powerful or submissive, everything else you will do will be viewed through that filter. So, in a way, it's sort of unfortunate because you could get to an interview and be really nervous and shy and just need a moment to shake it off, and then you're okay. So, but then if you get there and you may fumble around a little bit, people may view you through that filter. But never give up and say, okay, well, that's it now. Pick yourself up and take it from there. So, but it would be then important if you go to an interview or a meeting with a client, whatever, that first few seconds, have a firm handshake. Look the person in the eye, greet assertively, try and use a name if you can. So these type of things are not necessarily always like that in all cultures, but I think in South Africa, if you do that, it's going to be good for you. It will be in your favor. So 2 people can send over 800 different nonverbal signals in a 30 minutes negotiation. So that is a hell of a lot. So if you focus on the verbal exchange alone and ignore the nonverbal element, you stand a high chance of coming away from a negotiation wondering why in the world your brilliantly constructed bargaining plan didn't work the way it was supposed to. So I have walked out of meetings or discussions, and then afterwards I realized, when I think about it, I actually realized afterwards I've been underestimated. I've actually been challenged, and because I was only focusing on the talking, I didn't actually stand up for myself and fight for what it was that I wanted. It's only afterwards that I was thinking about all sorts of other things instead of picking up what was going on. So be aware of these things so that you can still walk out of the meeting having carried over the message that you wanted to carry over. That is a thing that you owe yourself. Okay, so there are 2 sets of nonverbal signals that people look in for leaders. Okay, so status and authority, warmth and empathy. And the most effective leaders employ the right signals at the right time. So which means they realize that the body language signals that work so well when announcing a new business strategy are not helpful, and it may in fact sabotage their efforts when building collaborative teams. So you need to be assertive or warm and empathic at different times. So you need to determine what is necessary when. Okay, so it's got a lot to do with emotional intelligence or social intelligence. So some people could read others' body language easily, and some people cannot do it at all. This depends on how much you have developed your own emotional intelligence. This one is incredibly important, and people underestimate it, because when we talk about emotional intelligence, people immediately think it means I'm soft, I'm weak, I cry a lot, I hug a lot. It's not that. It is an absolute awareness of what I'm going through, what you're going through, picking up on all the subtle influences, the attitude, the vibe, the nonverbal stuff that's going on around you. That's not soft and weak. So become aware of those type of things. I test people, so many people on a daily basis, and I see so many people having very good persuasive skills, and they dominant and assertive, but they are weak on the social intelligence side, which means they are not as effective in their persuasion as they think they are, or that they could be. You can be better if you are more empathic when you persuade, for example. So develop this part of you. Start reading up on what it means. Then, even experts can't interpret body language effectively 100% of the time, of course. So be very careful of just not making random, crazy assumptions. So there's a lot of research about the different meanings of nonverbal communication. So a lot of experts may get it right about 80% of the time, but there are definitely mistakes sometimes. So, for example, someone that looks at their watch a lot may come across as not wanting to be there, but it could be the same time be a very time-conscious person. So body language is ambiguous. Don't just assume things as well. Have an open mind. Even ask questions. Look for other cues. Don't be so rigid that you take one thing and run with that. Then you fall into the stupid box again. Then, the box where people are just intelligent, the IQ is high, but the EQ is low. So have a nice balance between the two. Give people the benefit of the doubt as well, but also be aware of the stuff that if something makes you feel funny, like someone made the note here just now where they said the fact that my opinion changed about a person, isn't that a warning in itself? That's exactly what I mean. Be very open and be very aware. Okay, then it is unconscious for both the sender and the receiver. So, for example, you could be concentrating and focusing while listening, but have an expression of disapproval on your face because of concentration. So micro expressions, someone else also mentioned the micro expression earlier, are a better predictor of true feelings. Now, this is very difficult. So micro expressions are a very brief facial expression that lasts on a fraction of a second. And they are a sign of repressing or concealing an emotion. So normal expressions can last from a half a second to 4 seconds. So I often wonder, a lot of people that do interviews and before they come to me and say that, listen, I have people that I want to get psychometrically assessed. We had an interview, but something about this person is bothering me. It's probably some of the micro expressions that you picked up, but it was so incredibly subtle that you don't know what it is, what it's about. You just know it bothers you. Never, ever ignore it. Rather than do your double check, do psychometric assessment, do reference checks. So many times I would do an assessment and I would say to someone, just make a phone call. We know reference checks are subjective. If the person didn't like you, it's not going to go down well. But if you have a pattern of negative references, you don't have to take one negative reference and say, okay, well, that's it. You want to do a few references and pick up a pattern, because you yourself need to keep an open mind. Don't be rigid. That's what we're moving away from when we are doing this. Grow your own openness. Ask questions, probe. Be investigative in your nature. Don't just accept things. Okay, so then an interesting study in the book by Blink by Malcolm Gladwell cites a lot of fascinating studies, and one of them examines micro expressions of romantic couples on a video. So go look for this book if you can find it. He had made them talking about random things such as their dog, a current event, or something that wouldn't evoke negative interactions between the two. He looked at the interactions frame by frame to view each person's microexpression. So just from looking at the information from their body language, he was able to predict whether they would break up or not. And he had an 80% accuracy rate. So, but this would be very specialized. Like mere mortals like us, may struggle a little bit with this, but it is probably the micro expressions that bothers you if you are the HR person that does the interviews and something bothers you. It's probably the micro expression. You can't put your finger on it, but then you want to do your extra checks, do your psychometric assessments, make a phone call, do a qualification check, do that stuff. So, for example, many of us have a nervous tic that reveal themselves in a variety of ways, such as touching hair, constantly adjusting our glasses or jewelry, wringing our hands, shifting our weight. So we all have our things. We all have our things that we do. Okay, facial expressions. Let me just keep an eye on the time. I want to make sure we get to the quiz. You don't want to miss the quiz. There we will see how good you really are. So facial expressions, understanding body language is important, but it is also essential to pay attention to other cues, such as the context. Very, very importantly. In many cases, you should look at signals as a group rather than focusing on a single action. So here is what to look at for when you're trying to interpret body language. So in some cases, our facial expression may reveal our true feelings about a particular situation. While you say that you are feeling fine, the look on your face may tell people otherwise. Of course, when someone says, I'm fine, but you can see that they feel down. This made me think of a comment that I read online after Riva Steenkamp was shot, and the mother was incredibly distraught. So when, they used to show her face online and on TV, it was always distraught. And someone made a comment online saying, look at the woman's miserable face. It never smiles. So this is a very good example of thinking about your context. I don't even have to explain that to you, that scenario. Okay, so then universal language. So the expression of a person's face can even help determine if we trust or believe what the individual is saying. One study found that most trustworthy facial expression involve a slight raise of the eyebrows and a slight smile. This expression, the researchers suggested, conveys both friendliness and confidence. So it's an openness. It's a very openness. It's an open, I'm open. I'm not concealed. I'm not down. I'm open. Facial expressions are also among the most universal forms of body language. The expression used to convey fear, anger, sadness, and happiness are similar throughout the world. So researcher Paul Ekman has found support for the universality of a variety of facial expressions tied to particular emotions, including joy, anger, fear, surprise, and sadness. Okay. Then let's look at the mouth. So what we're trying to say is that this would be similar for actually most people. So when evaluating body language, pay attention to the following mouth and lip signals. First, lips. Tightening the lips may be an indicator of distaste, disapproval, or distrust. So sort of like that. Lip biting. People sometimes bite their lips when they are worried, anxious, or stressed. Covering the mouth. When people want to hide an emotional reaction, they may cover their mouth or avoid displaying smiles or smirks. Turned up or down. Slight changes in the mouth can also be subtle indicators of what a person is feeling. When the mouth is slightly turned up, it means that the person is feeling happy, optimistic. On the other hand, slightly turned down can be an indicator of sadness, disapproval, or even an outright grimace. So, but we know that that is the same for all people. What I did want to say to you about this, a lot of times when people lie, and I think it was actually Chris Watts that did it a lot. He would say something and then he'll go like this, almost like he didn't want to say it. So it's like when you're talking, you go like this. So or people, when they lie, they just touch their mouth. And a lot of research has also shown that when people lie, they for some reason touch their nose. So I hope I don't do this a lot in this session here, but if someone goes like that, like sort of, it's because I don't really want to say it. It's like, they say that not even liars wants to lie. Right, all right. So this is what you can do. So here's a few tips for you as a person. One of the most common questions people have when it comes to body language is that, what do I do with my hands? So, and one of them, the most common things people do is to cross it in front of them. This only sends a message. Not only does it send a message of defensiveness and unapproachability, it also portrays nervousness and lack of confidence. So to send the opposite message, open your chest and arms, keep a straight back, and keep your head up high. So I am unfortunately one of those people. You're going to have a laugh, but yes, I watch the Judge Judy's show. I even have a T-shirt. Yes, I do. I'm not lying. I was actually thinking I should have worn it today so that you could actually see it. But anyway, the reason why I'm bringing that up is since I've been researching this, I've been looking at people that she deals with. And it is amazing how many people, they would say something and then they go, what is the other thing? They immediately, when they get challenged or just get a question where they need to answer, they actually go like this. It's incredible how, if you watch it again and again, how you can actually pick it up. All right. So another thing is that you shouldn't do is crossing your legs. Now, I used to think that it means that you're confident. I'm even sitting like that right now because for me it's comfortable. But if you're in an interview or want to impress, put your legs next to each other, sort of slightly to the side. I still like to cross it. I don't know if it makes me feel confident, but apparently then you're nervous. So, but it's still, I don't know. Be open to these things. It does make you feel more relaxed when you don't cross your legs. You sit up straight with your hands on your lap. You feel it. Even do it right now there where you're sitting. It opens you up. And when people are nervous or stressed, they don't want to open up. You want to hold close. So I find crossing my arms, especially when standing, very comfortable. Yes, it can actually be a sign of confidence. So, but be aware of who's your audience. Be aware. I don't think you need to adjust and adapt just so that people, like at a braai, so you don't stand with your hands like that because otherwise people can think you're nervous. You don't have to. So determine your audience. So touching a part of your face or neck in a lower position can indicate anxiety, nervousness, or lack of control. I have seen that, when people touch their face, often that is an indication of lying. So, but it is obviously nervousness, because when you're nervous, it's very difficult to keep your hands on your lap like this. Practice it a little bit. And you know what? It may be a good thing for you to practice anyway, getting your shoulders relaxed, breathe deeply, practice it actually on a daily basis. So wringing your hands if you're washing them is also a sign of discomfort, lack of preparation. Also, if you are the interviewer, be aware when the interviewee are nervous. Of course, they can be nervous. They should not be nervous. I don't know where we get that from as well. If the person is nervous, it shows it's a normal person. At least you're not interviewing Chris Watts, So he may probably be quite relaxed. But so if you do see the person that you're interviewing are doing certain things, whatever, put them at ease, because you get the most information out of someone when they're at ease. Another defensive gesture is placing your hands in your pocket. Now, I actually like doing this when I do presentations, but according to them, it could show powerlessness or shyness. Once again, I think it depends on where you are. If you really want to impress, if you want to sell a deal to someone, if you want to win in an interview, take note of these things, because it could be, people could, without them knowing it, thinking that you are not assertive, and you don't want that. So be aware of these things. Then people tend to naturally pay more attention to those who look them in the eye. On the other hand, avoiding eye contact could communicate lack of confidence, openness, and trust. It could also be a cultural thing. So just be aware of who you are interviewing, who you are with, because someone may want to just show you respect as well. And so be open to the options. Be open to the options. Look at everything, not just one thing. Then you will make a mistake. All right, some presenters resort to the trick of fixing their stare on a single person or a spot, but an audience can quickly tell when someone is avoiding eye contact with them. So this is when you would do a presentation. So look at different people in the audience. What my tip to you would be, if you do presentations in front of people, really believe in what it is that you want to tell them. then you will enjoy it, and it will be less about you, yourself, and your nervousness. It's about really showing them something. It is about informing them. Make it about them and not about you. That also helps a little bit. All right. Another way to communicate a lack of confidence or security is to stand in the same spot during an entire presentation. So if they were invisible walls restricting you, as if they were invisible walls restricting you from walking around and using your allotted space. So if you do a presentation, move around a little bit. Also, not excessively. Don't use excessive hand gestures. I am one for hand gestures. So you will see that I'm, like this all the time. But I'm not trying to get a job with any one of you, so I don't really care. But it could be distractive. It can actually distract from the point that you are trying to make. But it could. It also helps to maybe get rid of a little bit of energy. So another tip. Don't wear high heels if you know you are going to do something where you are a little bit nervous already. So tripping over something will just make it worse for you. Then, any gesture used during a presentation should be used to emphasize a point, describing something, conveying an emotion, expressing a mood, or prompting the audience to take a specific action. So this is where I say that don't use too many hand gestures, because it could distract the audience. So plan your hand gestures before. And even if you consciously think about them before your presentation, use them as a controlled and smooth manner so that it's not too much. Luckily, you can't always, you see my hands here, but not over here. So I can talk to myself and it makes me feel good and it doesn't distract you. All right. So let's look at how you should stand. This is for anyone that's doing interviews, especially if there are younger people in my audience today. Standing firm with your feet hip width apart sends a clear message of stability and confidence. Shifting your weight from foot to foot or standing with your feet close together communicates uncertainty or nervousness. It is very difficult for the body to just totally relax when you are in a nervous, stressful situation. But practice this. Practice the fact that you're there to deliver a message. You're trying to teach and educate. It's not about you. Shift the attention from you to the people that you're trying to talk to. You don't have to move too much, but also don't stand like a statue. Do what makes you feel comfortable. Be yourself. Literally find yourself. Another tip is don't drink too much coffee or things that stimulate your central nervous system, which makes you charged up already. So be aware of all the small things. So we've all seen figurative fig leaf position before. So both hands clasped in front of the body, forming a shape of a fig leaf covering the groin area. So apparently this can show discomfort or shyness, suggesting defensiveness and the need to protect the most sensitive and vulnerable parts of the body. So, but the thing is, you can stand in different ways. You can have your hands beside you or behind your back as well. It really doesn't matter. Okay, let's look at when is someone lying in an interview. Okay, I'm going to go a little bit faster because I want to get to the quiz. So most people have no better than a 50-50 chance of detecting deception. It's really very difficult. So teach yourself, learn how it works. But this is how we would look at a few things. So too much or too little eye contact, overemphasizes details or avoiding details. Now you will pick this up when you do a competency-based assessment. I hope that you will be able to attend one of our competency-based interview webinars that we have. I think we had one a while ago where we taught you how to do competency-based interviews, and we can arrange it again, because then you are going through your interview in a very systematic manner. You will pick this up easier than when it's an informal interview. Fidgeting, touching the nose, mouth pursed like this, speech hesitations, looking up or down, answer questions not asked, very important point. And they may actually distract you and take you on a tangent. So with a competency-based interview, you will stick to your question. When it's very informal, you are very likely to go with them and their nonsense. So they may repeat phrases or words. Focus on when they stop talking about themselves. Yes, because then they will be talking about something to sort of distract. So be very aware of these things. Okay, so lack of self-reference. So truthful people make frequent use of the pronoun I to describe their actions. So I arrived home at 6:30. The phone was ringing and as I unlocked the front door, so I walked straight to the kitchen to answer it. I talked to my mother for 10 minutes before noticing that my TV and computer were missing from the living room. This brief statement contains the pronoun I 4 times in 3 sentences. So deceptive people often use language that minimizes reference to themselves. So one way to reduce self-reference is to describe events in the passive voice. The safe was left unlocked rather than I left the safe unlocked. The shipment was authorized rather than I authorized the shipment. Because the first part of my sentence is trying to be vague. Another way to reduce self-reference is to substitute the pronoun for you for I. So when you do competency-based interviews, look for if they have to refer to themselves because they have to give you an example. So when they start talking in general, then you know it's nonsense. For example, can you tell me about reconciling the bank statement? So the answer, you try to identify all the outstanding checks and deposits in transit, but sometimes when you're really busy, you just post the differences into the suspense account. Can you see it's a very vague answer? Be aware of the vague answer. Verb tense. Truthful people usually describe historical events in the past tense. Deceptive people sometimes refer to past events as if it was occurring right now. So describing past events using the present tense suggests that people are rehearsing the events in their mind. This is also why you want to do a competency-based interview, not an informal interview, because they rehearse the story in their mind, but they're going to tell you. And it's going to be inflated and fantastic. If they have to do a competency-based interview, they have to give you an exact example. So investigators should pay particular attention to points in a narrative at which the speaker shifts to inappropriate present tense usage. So consider the following statement made by an employee claiming that a pouch containing 6,000 rand in cash was stolen before she could deposit it at the bank. So let's look at this. We broke up the sentences. After closing the store, I put the cash pouch in my car and drove to the Olympia Bank building on Elm Street. It was raining hard, so I drove slowly. I entered the parking lot and drove around back to the night depository slot. When I stopped the car and rolled down my window, a guy jumps out of the bushes and yells at me. I see he has a gun. Can you see that we changed from what he was doing to very general? I can see he has a gun. He grabs the cash pouch and runs away. The last I saw him he was headed south on Elm Street. After he was gone, I called the police on my cell phone and reported the theft. So can you see how it's changed? So the first part was correct, and then it slowly changed to it's as if it's happening. It's happening right now. I see he has a gun. He grabs the cash pouch. Can you see it? It went from, But anyway, if you read through this again, you will see what it is that we mean. So then answering questions with questions. So this is another thing that I see on the Judge Judy show quite often. Even liars don't want to lie. So outright lies carries a risk of detection. So before answering a question with a lie, a deceptive person will usually try to avoid answering the question at all. One common method of dodging questions is to respond with a question of one's own. So investigators should be alert to this. So why would I steal from my own brother? Do I seem like the kind of person who would do something like that? Don't you think somebody would have to be pretty stupid to remove the cash from their own? Now, this I see in the Judge Judy show constantly. So when someone answers the question with a question, then I know, I don't know. And then I start looking for other things. That's also not credible. So this one is a good one. So even if you ask a question, someone sort of repeats it. Listen, it's good to repeat because they want to maybe double check what it is that you're asking, but be aware of the response that will follow. Equivocation. So the subject avoids the interviewer's question by filling in His or her statements with expressions of uncertainty, weak modifiers, and vague expressions. So investigators should watch for words such as think, guess, sort of, maybe, might, perhaps, approximately, about, or could. Vague statements and expressions of uncertainty allow a deceptive person the leeway to modify his assertions, because now you're not saying it was not me, but you said, one wouldn't do that. So the one is vague and the one is assertive. So the answers are therefore vague without committing. So non-committal verbs are I think, I believe, I guess, suppose, figure, or assume. Equivocating adjectives and adverbs are sort of, almost, mainly, perhaps, maybe, about. And then vague qualifiers would be, you might say more or less. So whenever it's vague, that is when there could be deception, because an assertive person will say, I didn't do it. They're not going to potter around. So this is why it will be very good if you look at the videos with Chris Watts and Michael Peterson. Michael Peterson had a lot of this. Okay, then oaths. Have you ever heard people that say, I swear on my children's lives, on my honor, God is a witness. It's over promising. It's trying to be over convincing, because a truthful person will just say, I didn't do it. It didn't happen, or whatever. So let me jump to euphemism. So many languages offer alternative terms for almost any action or situation. Statements made by guilty parties often include mild or vague words rather than harsher, more explicit synonyms. So, for example, euphemisms portray the subject's behavior in a more favorable light and minimize harm to the subject's actions. So investigators or interviewers should look at euphemistic terms such as missing instead of stolen, borrowed instead of took, bumped instead of hit, warned instead of threatened. So an honest person will call it what it is, and a deceptive person will sort of trot around the stuff. And that's why it's so easy for them to get away with it, because they're still saying what they're saying. If you don't know any better, then you'll miss it. So then alluding. People sometimes allude to actions without saying they actually performed them. So considering the following statement from an employee who was questioned about the loss of some valuable data, I try to back up my computer and put away my papers every night before I go home. Last Tuesday, I decided to copy my files onto the network drive and started putting my papers in my desk drawer. I also needed to lock the customer list in the office safe. Did the employer back up the computer? Did she copy her files onto the network drive? Did she put her papers in the desk drawer? Did she lock the customer list in the safe? The employee alluded to all the actions without saying definitely that she did it. So that when someone says, I tried to, I wanted to, I tried to, that is vague. An attentive investigator should not assume that the subjects perform every action they allude to. Okay, so another indicator would be eye contact. If someone doesn't look you in the eye, typical body movements is a signal that the candidate is lying. I'm going to skip through these very quickly because I want to get to the quiz. Changes in the voice, responses. So listen for the details in a candidate's responses. Is there lack of details? While the above tips can help you a lot, if someone is lying, it's not accurate. So you want to put together a whole picture. But let's do a test quickly because we've got just a few minutes left. Okay, look at this picture. What does this man's body language portray about him? Is it shame? Is it confidence? Is it sadness? Or is it nervousness? Okay, so which one would you say? Let me just open the chat box. Nervousness. So some people are saying nervousness. Let's see. Nervousness. Okay, so the nail biting is a common body language behavior that helps some people to relieve tension, anxiety during stressful situations. You can also become aware of your own actions. As soon as you go like this, know that you are nervous. It's good to understand your own behavior as well. Right. Just see. If someone's feet is pointing towards you, if someone's feet is pointing towards you, do they show interest or disinterest in you? Right, so the answer is Sorry, I'm just trying to minimize this box. It's in my face. Okay. When pointing towards someone is generally a good sign of mutual attraction, interest. In large group settings, the most charismatic person will usually have the most feet pointing to them. However, if a person is feeling uncomfortable or disinterested and wants to leave, the feet may be pointing away towards the exit. Let me see what was your interest. Yes, all of you are correct. All of you are correct. Let's do another one. When someone is sitting in this position, what does it mean? Happiness, fear, confidence, excitement. Happiness, fear, confidence, excitement. So actually, as a matter of fact, even myself, I can't remember what the answer is. So a lot of people are saying fear. Someone said confidence. Let me just see. Fear. Okay, so it's interesting that people are thinking it could be fear or confidence, and it's quite opposing poles. So let's look at the answer. So the correct answer is confidence. The hand gesture is called steepling. Steepling occurs when someone is trying to typically feeling confident and in charge. So for me, I would have also gone with the fear because of the forward bend. I would have thought, but can you see how closely it's related? Fear and confidence is two massively different things. And we could be interpreting or seeing one or the other. It's not even closely related. This is why it's so important to know what it is that you are dealing with. The higher someone holds the steeple, so that would be that, the more confident they are. So especially if they're sitting, if the person was sitting up straight, I would have said definitely confident. But because they were bending, I had also a thought that they could be fearful. So you will rarely see steepling from a subordinate in front of a boss or someone who's unconfident in what they're saying. Okay, so be aware of that. So tell me, is this a genuine smile? Is this a genuine smile? Called the Eiffel Tower at times. Okay. Yeah, I've seen some people do this. Well, if I sit up straight, I think that way. But as soon as someone bends forward, it's almost like a worry. But anyway, someone said, yeah, I can't type in the type box, but I can see it. So please type. I adopted open and confident. Okay. No. Oh, so everyone is saying no, it's not a genuine smile. Okay. No. It's a nervous smile. Let's see. It's a fake smile. So you know why it could almost look like it's a true smile, because his is a little bit stretched, but the normal confident smile is actually a smile with eyebrows raised, but not maybe to the extreme that he's doing it. So you could actually confuse it with a genuine. And I think if you see the person in real life, it's going to be way easier to determine. But I'm so glad you got that right. Right. So it's known as a Dutchine marker. This is what causes the corner of the eyes to form wrinkles, or known as crow's feet. Okay, so it's like if I do it, I really look not truthful. So if a person is smiling but lacks this indicator, they may be smiling to be polite or faking it. Okay, let's do this one. What does it mean when someone puts a pen, glasses, or nails in their mouth when they're talking? Right. What do you think? So I know now that it's really not a good sign to chew your nails or put your fingers in your mouth, because it really immediately signals that you are not confident. So nervous thinking, it can be nervousness, anxiety, uncertainty, nervous, maybe thinking about what to say. So it would depend on what else the person is doing, because I've seen someone, really thinking, going like this. So, I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean nervousness. So take everything into account, take the context in account. Why are we there? Not confident, what you're saying, uncertainty, yes. So most people put objects near or around their mouth when they're anxious, tense, or stressed. So you are correct. I think we've got 2 questions left. So which part of the body do people touch when they indicate sincerity? Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Which part of the body do people touch to indicate sincerity? Right, let me see what you are saying. 5. Let me see, 555. Yes, okay, so let's see. Okay, the old cliche, touching my heart, only rings true here. Certainly rings true here. Touching the chest with the hands is a body language. It does. You know, when you go like this, and so it would be sincerity. Right, let's see. Does someone with closed arms demonstrate anxiety or nervousness? So someone actually said previously, when I stand like that, it's because I'm comfortable. This guy looks comfortable to me. I think it depends on the situation or the context. This could mean nervousness or defensiveness. If you watch the Judge Judy show, you will see how many people goes like that because they know they're in the spotlight. They need to lie. So in this case, it can mean it can mean different things. It can mean someone is angry, deep concentration, feeling cold. I've done that because I was literally just cold. Or simply resting their arms. So it doesn't necessarily mean someone is closed off, but it's the context again. If you're in an interview and you go sit like that, it's not going to go down well. I think this is our last question. And I think this one was even difficult for me. Let me just see if there were anywhere. Yes. Unsure or nervous. It could mean they're closed off. Depends on the person as well, but it could be defensiveness. It depends on a whole bunch of things. So which of the following body language gestures signals anger? So the head tilted downwards, the eyebrows lower, eyes narrowed, mouth to the side, hands on the hips. So let me see which one is it. So it's all of them. So it will be all of them. So it could be all. So you are all correct. It would be all of them. All right. So this was the last of our workshop today. I actually have another meeting now, so I'm going to have to rush off. I actually would have liked to hear your comments on what you thought about today's sessions. I just keep an eye on the next webinars. I'll hope to see you again. We usually take these things a step further, or we link it to other things. So I really hope to see all of you again. It was a nice interactive session. I love chatting with you. And please email me if you want a presentation with a link so that you can look at the YouTube videos, talk to me or the HR Talk. You're welcome. And I really hope to see you again very soon. So sorry for rushing. I know it's 2 minutes. It's 2 minutes past 10. I've got another thing that I need to join now. But thank you so much. But thank you for you. Thank you for participating. Let me know if you've got general questions. We also have a competency-based questionnaire that I can email you for interviews. All right. Okay, everyone, I'm going to have to jump. There's someone that's on my back here. I'm going to see you next time. All right. Thank you so much and have an absolutely lovely day. Thank you.